Good evening, Cora and friends of Cora. Congratulations on a wonderful Spring Awakening benefit dinner. I wish I could be with you in person to celebrate the 35 years of service to women and families in need of safety, counseling, legal advice, or shelter. I'm deeply honored to be recognized with the Cora Inspirational Leadership Award. In fact, I'm humbled by it. And if by chance I can get on an earlier flight, I will be there in person to receive it. You know, we've worked together for over 30 years to help the women and families who suffer silently from abuse in their homes. Back then, Cora was known as the Battered Women's Services, and the domestic violence movement was in its infancy. Things were different in those days. The complicated dynamics of domestic violence were not widely understood. There were no awareness-raising advocacy campaigns, there were no shelters or hotlines, and there was no availability of government funds for people who wanted to help. And we also didn't know about the population, that many of the battered women were living in homes right next door to us. We've learned a lot since then. You know, back then, domestic violence was still considered a, quote, private issue, unquote. At that time, victims were often blamed for the violence they endured, and they were more likely to hide in their cars than in a shelter. Your being here tonight highlights just how far we've come. Domestic violence is now recognized as a social justice and human rights issue. Thanks to agencies like Cora, it's now squarely on the public podium. We are no strangers to the statistics, but you know, they still make me shudder when I recite them. Each year, domestic violence is responsible for more injuries to women than auto accidents, rapes, and muggings combined. An estimated 35% of women entering emergency rooms are victims of domestic violence, yet only 1 in 5 women with physical injuries seek medical treatment. And only about 1/2 of domestic violence crimes are ever reported to the police. You know, when I was in the California Assembly and Senate, I carried legislation to help women who suffer in silence, too ashamed or afraid of retaliation to report the abuse. 20 years ago, I wrote the law that now requires healthcare professionals to report suspected domestic violence to authorities. I also carried a bill that allows victims of stalking and domestic violence to obtain emergency protective orders on the weekends when most domestic violence occurs. My fight continues now that I'm in Congress. My colleagues and I work with advocates like you at Cora and attorneys like members of the San Mateo County Bar Association Family Law Group to ensure batterer accountability and victim safety. We've passed legislation like the Violence Against Women Act, which guarantees continuation of much of the support that Cora receives. Yet even with VAWA funds, the demand for help exceeds Cora's capacity. I will continue to work to increase services for all those in need. Those of you here tonight can help too. Please consider opening that checkbook, bidding on an auction item, like my necklace and earring set that I'm wearing right now. You know, navy blue is a classic color, and it never goes out of style. And neither does contributing to the nonprofits in our community that do so much for all of us and for the collective community. Please give what you can. Congratulations, Cora, for 35 years of achievements. Here's to 35 more. Thank you.